Hey, everybody, it is Tim Gillette, and welcome to the Tim Gillette Show. Today, just like every day, all right, on the Tim Gillette Show, we introduce you to some of the coolest people on the planet. Let me bring my microphone down here so I can actually get it closer in case you guys were worrying if you can hear me or not. Anyway, today's guest is no different. This person, all right, is really cool. Someone I know and met through my mentor, Craig Duswalt, and has got a great story, a great website, a great way to actually share with you some things about her and what she does. Linda Kaye is, like I said, I'm sure she's got an interesting story. I don't know all of it. I'm going to figure it out while we talk, which is one of the great things I love about my show is actually getting to know people while live on air. So let's bring up Linda Kaye and see how she's doing today. Hey, Linda, how are you?
Hey, Tim, I'm doing great.
Yeah. So, sitting at home today, huh?
Yeah, like we all are. Well, some of us are. Some of us are actually out on the freeway, making sure that we're getting back to life as it was.
Yeah. Well, you're in California, right? So
I am.
So I mean, things aren't skipping back to normal as fast as they are, say, here in Texas or Florida.
Well, I would disagree with that, especially if you're getting on the 405 freeway headed north or south, trying to get anywhere in Southern California.
So even in the pandemic, the 405 freeway is still blocked up.
It will always be, Tim. And just if you're thinking that you might get some reprieve by getting onto the 5, forget it.
I know that I live in Texas, but I've driven up and down that 405 so many times that I know the headache myself.
The only way around that during the week actually is getting into the commuter lane. So find somebody to drive with and tag along, and you'll find that commute is a lot shorter. Forget about it at the weekend. Everybody's in that lane.
Yeah. I used to ride motorcycle, and I've only ridden the motorcycle up and down the 405 one time, and I've never done that again.
That would be one time too many, Tim, on a motorcycle. Oh no.
Yeah, back when I came out with the motorcycle, now the last time I rode the bike out would have been 2013, and you know what I mean? I don't like you guys do a thing called lane splitting out there. I had this, $50,000 custom bike. I am not going between cars with,
No. But, we've all learned how to behave as a driver for those motorcyclists. At least most of us do.
Yeah.
So when I'm in that lane and that split lane comes up, I actually move over to the right.
Mm-hmm.
Unless the motorcyclist is thinking, passing on the right side is a really great idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Right side is suicide as far as I'm concerned.
And the last time I brought a bike out there was 2015, and I trailered it out instead. And then I stayed down Newport Beach and just I took it off the trailer, and that's why I rode around town at Newport Beach. But still, I'm not doing that motorcycle thing you guys do out there just between lanes. Traffic gets hectic out there, and I don't know if I ever want to deal with it.
Well, the fact that we may be able to travel at 65 miles an hour is kind of lost during commuter hours, and that's when you see most of the motorcyclists. So they're dodging in and out, and they're figuring out how to get home a lot faster than we are. And there are times, Tim, that I wish I was on the back of one of those motorcycles.
Yeah. Now, now I know, your website, all right, is looks like it's all about, driving and going out, on the open road. My last open road trip was moving Craig Duswalt from California to Texas. I flew there and drove his SUV, to Texas. And I remember my biggest thing of coming out of LA, because he lived up in, Westlake Village, and I drove up across the north side of town and then got up to the 15 to take 40 and come across I-40 to Texas. And I couldn't wait to get on I-40. Once I got on I-40, it was like a dream trip.
Right.
Up until then, it's a headache.
You were in California. These California freeways and the highways are designed to be very busy. And if people would just stop moving here, Tim, we would have, well, actually, most of them are moving to Texas now. So actually, we've started the great exodus into Texas. So maybe the traffic will be better next year.
Yeah. So I mean, well, our other mutual friend, Tony Caruso. All right, Tony. Actually, they're building a house. Tony and Keith are building a house here in Texas as well, and I look forward to having them close by. But like I've been telling Tony, well, we've got this plan in Texas. We're going to get all of you guys to leave Texas and move here, and then we're going to move out there and take over. We figured we're going to trade for beachfront property after we get you all out.
Wonderful. I'm looking forward to it. I need some of that Texas hospitality.
Yeah. Now, I have a friend who grew up in L.A., all right? One of my closest friends, all right, her name's Kat Slater. Kat grew up in L.A., and she tells me all the time when people complain about L.A., she says, well, why did you move here? Because she grew up there. She didn't move there like most people did.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So me in Texas, I love Texas, but I moved here too, all right? I came from the East Coast, all right? And I've driven all over the highways of America. So how many road trips and stuff have you taken in your lifetime?
Oh, good grief. Well, having been a professional musician, I was on the road all the time. In fact, I didn't have to join the Navy to see the world. I just played my instrument and sang.
Yeah.
Road trips were like a thing in when I was a kid because I had such a big family and we couldn't afford to go anywhere except the back of that vehicle. And my parents would drive and like stop someplace, dump us out, and we'd all go run helter skelter, get back in the car, and then we'd go again. So road trips have always been fun to me. Always something new to see, and I think that's probably what got me into real estate was being able to be on the road and take a look at things and see how things are growing, or see what's different in the community, or what's being built lately.
Yeah. Now, I mean, some of the road trips I've taken now, I mean, mostly mine was a lot on motorcycle. And the last 2 years of my life, I mean, I've got the bikes are gone now. I mean, I may get one again someday, but just for now, they're gone. And I've been taking like the last 2 years, a lot of road trips with cars. And oh my God, it's like a sweet dream of mine. First of all, driving Craig's SUV here, I went and got like pretty much the similar SUV myself. Going, that's just a damn comfortable ride. But I had a truck next, all right, and the truck was a great thing to pull things with, but like it's a bumpy road trip in it.
Well, what kind of truck did you have? It depends.
I had a 2500 Ram big monster 4x4 diesel truck.
Dang, that's a big vehicle. I just saw one in my mom's driveway yesterday. That is huge.
Yeah, that's a Texas thing. We like big pickup trucks.
I guess. What's the farthest road trip that you took on your bike?
On motorcycle, I did 9,000 miles in July and August of 2010. I was gone for a month.
I've often wondered why, or somebody gets on a bike and goes that far and that long. What drove you to do it?
It's something that I always wanted to do, and after years of working, working jobs and everything, I was starting my new company, and my wife had to be at an event in California, so I said, I'm going to ride out. But then I extended it and went, okay, if I'm riding out, then I'm going to ride and take a big trip. And I rode from Texas to Los Angeles area, and then I went all the way up the coast all the way up to Seattle, and then rode through into Montana, Wyoming, and and down. It was just something I planned. I was like, I took 3 months to plan it out, and then did it, and cost me I think over $9,000 to do, but it was something I wanted to do, and just did it.
Wow, $1,000 per 1,000 miles, or $1 a mile.
Something like that, yeah. Well, you got to calculate. I mean, some nights I stayed in hotels. Some days I got camping spots. Every meal you got to eat out, all right? There's several times during the trip that basically realized, okay, I need more gear, so I got to call and have gear shipped to where I'm at. Or I'm done with gear, I can ship this home. So there's shipping costs. I had to pay to have tires put on the bike while I was there out. You know what I mean? Because I was on a long trip. The tires are only last 15,000 miles on that bike. But I mean, it was something I just wanted to do. And I remember people just, stopping me, in the middle of like Oregon. well, what'd you do? I was like, well, I woke up one Saturday, decided to take a road trip. I just haven't figured out how to turn around and go back home yet.
I lost my way. Maybe I'll go in circles.
But I got to see areas of the country I never wanted to see, and it was a dream, something I wanted to do my whole life, and I finally did it. And I took a month on it, on doing it. And I don't think I'll ever do a 1 month road trip again. But like, I could not have gotten to areas that I was at had I not taken a month road trip.
That
You know what
makes
I mean?
sense. I mean, but that's something that you'd have to really, really plan. I mean, but you went in some of the most beautiful places I think I've ever been, which is the Oregon coast. I mean, I went the opposite direction. So I went out, where did I go? I came back down the Oregon coast. I came down Astoria and then all the way down the coast back to LA. But that is such a beautiful, beautiful trip. And Wyoming and Montana. That's God's country.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, yeah, I love Montana. I've not been back to Montana. I've been back to Wyoming. Uh, I have not been back to like Washington, Oregon, Idaho, those areas yet. Um, I have though. I mean, I have ridden my motorcycle in every one of the 48 lower states. My own bike, every one of the 48 lower states, and that trip completed almost all of them, all the states. There was one state that I missed on that trip. I drove all the way around Utah, and I ended up having to go back to Utah.
That's
So
pretty impressive. 48.
yeah,
That's the entire lower 48. That's pretty impressive.
yeah. So I mean, and it's just I've always loved the dream of riding on the road, and now I mean I don't mind doing it in the car, and you know what I mean. There are so many things out there that you can see in our country that are just most people, you know, like, well, I want to go to France. Dude, do you realize how much beauty's in our own country, let alone France? You
And we
know?
speak the same language here.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
You
So,
gotta love that.
and nothing is greater than like pulling into some place on a road trip, you know, to get dinner. I rode into a small town in Tennessee one time, and I went in. And I got this steak dinner that probably cost me less than $10, and
Sweet.
it wasn't like, you know what I mean. You're a big big thing you get at like the Texas, you know, Amarillo, Texas steakhouse, but it was a good honest meal for under $10 in this small town, and they were just excited to see me because I was a stranger. You know,
On a
and I
bike.
think that's the world we, you
Not
know,
just a stranger, Tim, a stranger on a bike.
yeah, yeah. So, but I also drove 18-wheeler too for a period of time in my life. So between 18-wheeler, four-wheeler, and two-wheeler, I've covered it all.
You've been them all.
So, well, you know, Linda, I mean, you know, I mean, what road trips and stuff have you taken, and what are you doing now for your business and stuff? Since you're not doing musician, or are you still doing music work?
No, it's a youth business unless I wanted to go to country music, which you can age, fairly ungracefully. But no, I wasn't willing to do that. I went into high tech and then finally arrived in real estate.
Hmm.
The real estate market was really an easy decision. I was going through a life transition, and it was it was an easy decision because if I wasn't going to be selling high ticket software, I should be selling high ticket something. And I didn't want to travel. My daughter was really young at the time, and I decided the highest ticket item might be like I don't know, a shopping center or a building or something like that. And it turns out that was a really good decision for me.
Huh. You know, I think about, you know what I mean, things that I've done, the paths I've gone in my career. All right. And I've done several different careers. At one point in time, I was in the auto industry and got sick of it. And I was just, this it, I'm done. All right. I sold my business. I had a 10-year do not compete in. And I was like, okay, I got to find what I'm going to do next.
Right?
Have you ever gotten to the point in any of your work that you're going, okay, I'm done. All right. Let me get out of this. I'll sell it. I don't care what the price is. I'm done.
It's funny. It gets harder as we get a little older because we have had some success in some things, and if you've been making money at it or that's been your main source of revenue, it's harder when you think about it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I did with Test Drive Freedom, which is what my business is today, was to really understand this transition, we all go through transitions, Tim, and we don't always know what we're going to do next. And so we think about it, or we dabble here, we dabble there. And like I did with my new transition into training and coaching and authoring and doing the things that I'm doing today, in addition to my real estate, it was like, well, what am I going to do next? And part of the reason I did that was, I was living in my house at about 2,600 feet, and my daughter was gone and she wasn't coming back. And well, maybe for dinner or drop off laundry or something.
Kids have a strange way of doing that. Growing up and moving out,
living their own life. How dare them?
Careful, because sometimes they come back.
Well, that's true, but this story is a very interesting one. He decided, no, I'm moving on, and without you, Mom. And so now I'm all of a sudden in this house, and the reason why you buy your house today, Tim, is different than 10 years ago when you bought it. So the reason why we live in it might have changed just a little bit. And for me, it was. And so I had to figure out, what am I going to do with this? And the IRS has made it kind of uncomfortable for us, to hang on to a house and then decide, it's time to retire, maybe, take in less space or, downsize, as we say. Because if we buy a house and we have all of this equity in it, the IRS says, fabulous. We'd like to retire right along with you. Send us your 39% of your capital gain. Well, that wasn't an option for me. And it isn't an option for a lot of people. So they'll stay what I like to think of as stuck. And I needed to come up with some options, and that's what I did. And that really became the nemesis for starting this new business. And Test Drive Freedom became the foundation for it, because I couldn't be the only one having this problem. And as it turns out, there were a lot of people that were trying to figure out, what do I do with all this equity without giving it to the IRS? So without getting into a lot of complicated formulas and things like that, the IRS basically gave us a method to be able to hang on to money a little bit longer. It's called a 1031 exchange. And it means that you can sell something of great value and make money on it. And if it's not your primary residence, you can actually buy something else of greater or equal value and defer those taxes, not eliminate them, but defer them down the road, kick the can down the road. And so how would I be able to do that with my own primary residence? And so what I figured out was, well, I'm not using all this space. Why don't I just rent some of it? So I started Airbnb, and I started doing, well, now I rent the whole house out. So instead of just having a partial 1031, where if I decided to sell, I could, and I wouldn't have to wait for my death and pass it on to my child, where she would get all the greatest benefit. How do I maximize my benefit out of the house? And that really became the basis for Test Drive Freedom. So it's not for everybody. You got to be a homeowner. You got to have owned the home for a little while longer than in order to get your capital gain, and not use your house, as some people do, Tim, as a bank account, where they just keep maximizing the money out of it, taking the money out of it, refinancing, take the cash out, refinance, take the cash out, and then there's nothing left. It doesn't work for that. But for those that are really trying to figure out, what do I want to do in my next act, this could be something that would be really, really beneficial to them. So I talk to homeowners all the time about what do they want to do with the house. And, and these are casual conversations, Tim. These are not, hey, you want to sell your house. And out of all of this, I found other agents and other people that were saying to me, Linda, you got a real natural style of conversing with people that don't intimidate them, that don't make them feel like, I need to buy something for you, or you're pushing something on me. And out of that, Tim, really became the other part of Test Drive Freedom, which is this coaching and training and authoring that teaches people how to have conversational sales. So conversational sales is like, if I was teaching oh, I don't know, conversational Spanish, people understand that, it's a natural way of having a conversation in another language. Well, sales isn't any different than that, right? So people are trying to understand, how do I talk to somebody about what I do? How do I talk to somebody about, whether you're, you know, uh, selling a product or selling a service. For me, it's selling services through a product, and so it just happens to be homes, or it just happens to be commercial real estate. But other people are struggling with trying to figure out, how do I have a conversation about this? How do I get into a conversation? How do I promote my business? Well, that's what I do. So I teach you how to have a sales conversation that is natural and easy and really not annoying.
Oh, wow. Wow. I mean, one of the things you brought up in there, all right, and I've heard this in the real estate. Now, I'm not that versed in real estate, even though I have an investment company. 1031. For the dummy out there, could you give a basic description of what the 1031 is to people?
Mm-hmm. It's an IRS code. It's well known. If you talk to a CPA or you talk to an attorney, which I'm neither, so I'm neither giving you
So
legal
therefore,
advice.
my legal advice is not.
Yeah, I've just given my disclaimers, Tim.
Yep. I know. Understand them disclaimers. Yep.
So 1031 is a wonderful vehicle for an investor that says, I'm ready to sell this asset, whether it's a house, whether it's a commercial building, a commercial investment. And I want to keep all of that money. And the IRS says, well, you made some money on that. We want like at least 39% of it. And you're like, I don't want to give you a dime of it, not one little penny of it.
Yeah.
So how do we keep it? We use this vehicle that the IRS created called the 1031 exchange. And it's called an exchange because you're not going to sell something and keep the money. You're going to sell something and buy something else. Okay. And you're going to take all of your gains and put them into that product.
Okay.
Except for your basis. So if you buy, let's say for instance, you buy something for $500,000, Tim, and you put $200,000 into it before you put a loan on it called leverage. Mm-hmm. That $200,000 would be your basis. Mm-hmm. So if you went to go sell, and now that 500 is worth $1 million, mm-hmm. you're taking the 500,000 that you gained and the 200,000 of your basis. So you're taking your 500 and taking out your basis of 200, you actually have a $300,000 gain. Yeah. Do you see how I just shuffled the cups?
Yeah, you shuffle around. Yeah, I get that profit loss idea, but yeah.
So what this allows you to do is to continue to take your investment, move it forward without losing your investment or your gain to buy something more on the top end.
Okay. So
now there are other vehicles at the end of the day if you don't want to do any of that, but that wasn't the question. Your question was 1031. So
yeah, because I basically that's what I did when I sold one of my properties, and I basically got another property that I live in now. But anyway, I sold a rental and bought the property I live in and made my old house a rental.
And that was smart. And you know what, Tim? You exemplify probably 80 to 85% of first-time investors. Mm-hmm. So the first-time investor, they have a house that they've been, or a condo or a townhome that they've been living in, and they say, okay, I'm going to go buy something else. They either wanted to upsell or up the investment, live in a better area, or just buy something different because they went to another city. And all of a sudden, they've got their house, and they go, you know what? I could make money on this. And that's what they do. So they become a first-time investor, not just a first-time buyer. That's different. First-time buyer is usually a reference to somebody that's going to go live in that property. Your first-time investment becomes the one that you're making money on. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, Tim, do you make money on the house that you live in?
No. The house I live in costs me money.
There you go. And I'm so glad you said
I've at least learned that. All right. To me, this one isn't an investment. This is my home.
That's right. Yeah. And most people confuse that, though, Tim. Most people think, I bought a house, so that's my biggest investment. Well, if you're paying money out on it and you're not making money on it, that's not an investment, is it?
No. So no, Linda, I did things different in my investment company. I had rental properties, condos. Basically, what we built our whole thing on was building condos and renting them out, but condos in different communities. And I owned several condos, and I was renting a room from somebody because the room cost me $300 a month.
You are a smart man, Tim.
And I was single at the time, right? It's like right around the time my wife and I got together and started dating. I was single at the time, so I'm paying $300 to rent a room rather than spend. I mean, this house, I think it's my mortgage payment is like $700 on this one, right?
Yeah,
and this is the first house that I've ever lived in that I've had a mortgage. All right.
Wow.
And when we applied for the mortgage, the lady was like, "So your first house?" I'm like, "No, my first mortgage." She goes, "How do you buy a house without a mortgage?" I said, "Well, that's very easy. When you're an entrepreneur like I have been my whole life, I learned the hard way that you cover the roof over your head when you have a good year. In other words, you pay cash."
That's right.
She goes, "Okay." And I says, "The reason you do that is if you don't, your wife leaves." I had to go through 2 wives to figure that out. And the lady after me at the bank, she goes, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
You're a fast learner.
Yeah, not so fast. Apparently, I had to do it twice. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so a lot of people get into investments, and like really, I mean, I own 2 rental properties now, and the home I live in, and then I'm like some of the other investments I do now, like are like I've invested money in people's companies, so I own like a piece of a company here and a piece of a company there. I have stocks. If I sold one of my rental properties, that 1031, could I do, invest in a company with that money, or does it have to go back into real estate?
So it's called like-kind investment.
Okay.
So and not necessarily if you bought a condo, can I not buy a shopping center, because it's still real estate. So that's still like-kind investment.
Okay.
Right. But you could not take that money, say, for instance, not with the 1031. There are other vehicles that you can use, but not a 1031. A 1031 requires you to do a like-kind investment. So, for instance, if you took $500,000 out of that investment for the condo, you couldn't go buy, a sailboat, or you couldn't go buy.
Who buys a sailboat?
I don't know.
I'd buy a motorcycle. Come on, let's talk about what I'd really buy.
I'm just saying, some people would be thinking, "Oh, yeah, this would be great. I can rent them out." Yeah. But you wouldn't put that money, and buy shares in Google stock.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not even sure that 500 would cover multiple shares.
I don't even think $500 is a share of Google stock. But like, like we have a mutual friend. I think you know Sarah Buxbaum, don't you?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, Sarah. Like when Sarah did her fundraiser for doing her deal in Nashville, we put money into that. We took money out of our investment company and put into that for her.
I remember that.
Because we believe in what she does. So I mean, that's a place where I take money from stocks and I put into someone else's business. And I've done that with several other small businesses, as well as, my family members have done the same thing. We find people who are, if we have money, we find people who are needing money to start a business, and we just, but we want a piece of the company.
Absolutely. That's right. It's not called charity. It's called investment.
No, it's called investment. That's right. I did charity for years. You know what I mean? I got sick of donating money to the charity of Pizza Hut, Target. I was not into that charity anymore.
No, there are times to be charitable, but that you can't make a business out of that.
No. Now we do, we do a very unique thing, because we teach people to, blog, video, and online marketing, and we do a virtual event every month where we teach people how to build their online marketing. And we built giving, not give back, giving into our business model. And I'm curious if you do something like that. We actually sell like a virtual ticket to our event is like $20. Lifetime membership, $20. We give 10 of it to a charity, like
That's
every month.
To do.
And we call it giving. Giving should be part of your business.
It
All right.
absolutely is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and most people are like, wait a minute, you're giving all this stuff for $20 and you're giving 10 of it away. And I'm like, not worse than that is I pay affiliates 5 of the 20. So it's like 10 to the charity, 5 to the affiliate who sent me the person. And then I got to pay all the credit card fees for moving all that money around. I keep like $1.52, you know.
Right. Exactly.
But still, giving. I don't know. Have you ever thought about putting something like that? Do you do something giving like that as part of your business?
Giving is part of my core value, and in fact, it's something that I taught my own child. For every dollar that she got, there were 3 parts to it. One was tzedakah, or the giving, the charitable portion of that. Another was to herself to make the investment to save, and the other was for spending. So yeah, just understanding that is just simply my core value. I'm going to build that vehicle into everything that I do. So from a book that I'm co-writing that I've just finished co-writing with my mom, this is the entire portion of that is a give back. So for every project that I do, Tim, I think it's important to really build that into, because it's part of your mindset. When you come from that charitable spot, from that place in your heart that says, I give, then you get back tenfold.
Yeah. I just, and it is, I've loved putting giving as part of what I do. And I said, you know what I mean? If you're giving to begin with, your product or service becomes giving. In other words, you're getting an exchange for money for it, but you're giving. You've got to be saying better to society. Lynn Serrano checked in. Hello, Lynn. All right. I don't know if you know Lynn or not. So
I don't know Lynn.
she's a great, she does a great show. Her show is just an hour before mine today. So she's a great person to know. So, Linda, I wonder where you come up with the name Test Drive Freedom. What was that? What was the idea behind that name that you come up with?
So Test Drive Freedom was really the tagline to Open Roads. So my company is called Open Roads, and Open Roads is really the notion of where do you want to go next? What do you want to do? So if you've been in this house for so many years and you're now ready to do something else, people today, Tim, are not retiring. They want to do something different, but they don't necessarily want to retire. Now, that's not to say that people don't retire, but we don't retire in the same way. We still want to have purpose. We want to have a sense of being and a well-being, unless our health isn't right. But when I think about retiring, I think like my mom did. At 80 years old, maybe we'll do that. Or if something stops me, I'll have to do something different. But retiring did not really appeal to me. And I said, okay, well, if I were to do something different, if I were going to sell my house, if I were thinking about selling my house, what would I do? Where would I go? And so the whole notion of Open Roads was born, but somebody wanted to sell me Open Roads for $60,000, Tim, for a URL. And I said, okay, well, I got to come up with something different. So Test Drive Freedom was born. So Test Drive Freedom, the notion of Test Drive Freedom was in Open Roads, my service and my business will help you figure out what you want to do next. But maybe you don't really think about wanting to do that 100%. So you're not really 100% committed to wanting to sell or to let go of your property, because again, people are really emotionally connected to their home. I think about walking through my house. I've been there over 20 years, and my walls were starting to talk to me from all the pictures that were hanging up there, from the memory of this or that of the memorabilia that was hanging up over here or in the staircase. Every time I walked past something, the walls talked to me. And so when I started emotionally detaching from it, thinking about wanting to lease the house out, I thought there are going to be other people that have this same issue. Other people are going to have that same problem, Tim, because they're thinking, how could I let this go? This is giving me so much joy. Well, when you start thinking about it can also give me some money, then you can start thinking about taking some of those pictures down. And that's what helped me emotionally detach from the house. But I said, other people are going to not feel the same way. It's a process. It takes a journey for you to get there. So Test Driving Freedom would allow you to go out and be away from your house. Let me lease your house out. Let me lease it out, either to lease it out or to Airbnb it or VRBO it to, short-term rental, while you test drive freedom. See what it feels like to be out of your house, to go do something different,
Mm-hmm.
and to get that money coming in that you now know is an investment.
Yeah, yeah.
All of a sudden, when they start thinking about coming back into the house, they think, I don't want to get back in that box. That was, I want to be free of maintenance. I want to be free of this. I want to be free, but I want to get that money. I don't want to be living in there for free. And they realize that, like in the instance of my own house, we're talking a good solid 5 figures for that house every single month. And that's only part-time rental. So I live in a really good area. And so having said that, having an ocean view is a big plus, but you could be in any other part of town and find that you could lease that house out, have great value for it, move out of it. And if you wanted to temporarily think about it before you actually sold it, then you could possibly move back into it if you didn't like your freedom. So the whole notion of test drive freedom is for you to get that sense of, do I like what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And moreover, do I like the money I'm getting now? And
Well, I mean, yeah, money. As I had guessed earlier this week, money. Money buys money's not the goal. Money buys what you want. You know what I mean? It buys you the freedom you want. For me, I don't build my business to make money. I build my business so I don't have to work a job.
That's absolutely right. And I think that most people feel that way. Money buys, and I've always said, for me, money buys me freedom to do what I really want to do.
Yeah. So, some of the interesting things that you said there. I mean, first of all, the open roads was a domain that was, I guess, a premium domain.
It was a premium domain available for $60,000 from somebody that was holding it hostage in the UK. I'm like, I can't do that.
Well, no, I have my trademark is Simple Easy Marketing, and still they want like a couple grand for Simple Easy Marketing, but I'm waiting for somebody else to buy it so I can hit them with a cease and desist. And then say, well, now that you spent thousands of dollars, you can't use it because I own the trademark on it. But anyway.
Well, it's interesting because through Craig, I also met Andre Minkoff, and I trademarked Open Roads. Mm-hmm. And I was shocked, Tim. I was absolutely flabbergasted. I couldn't believe that I could actually get a trademark on Open Roads. Yeah, you think of every car company out there, and they're out there, canvassing Open Roads, and nobody ever trademarked it. Wow. So we've got Open Roads and Test Drive Freedom. And, a few of those cease and desist letters are going out.
Yeah. I personally never thought about until I met Andre, right? And I had a client here in the Dallas area who's like the trademark and patent attorney for like Shark Tank. And he was a client of mine and never thought about trademarks until I bought the web domain because it was available, Gillette.live. And I was like, oh man, I want a domain name that's just Gillette. The name Gillette is trademarked.
Oh yeah. If you ever had a razor.
It's my last name. Like I could buy the domain name, but they could sue me over and play games with me, and I would win. And it's like that thing with Craig and Rockstar. I would win, all right, but they have more money. They would keep me in court, and that's where some of these trademarks come into. And I never thought about it until I got hit with a cease and desist from Gillette Corporation. Like, my name is Gillette, dude. So
how do you get around that, Tim? How do you, because you're all about marketing, and that's, the Simple Easy Marketing is part of your branding. How do you exploit Gillette without being sued?
My name, Tim Gillette, I'm allowed to use. They can't say, as long as I'm saying Tim Gillette. I can't, like, if I use Gillette Marketing, they could play games with me on it. That's why I'm not doing it. And my company is Tim Gillette Media, and I learned to go around these things and getting trademarks. And like I said, domain names. It's like I own tons of domain names that I wouldn't give up for the longest time. Finally, some of them I just gave up. But I have like a domain name for an idea that I had, that I was going to do a blog, and I never did it. But I kept the domain name. I kept all the stuff around it. And I've actually had TV companies ask me for the name. I don't have it trademarked. But like it's based on my original brand was Rocker Life Coach, which is down there a little bit, was Rocker Life Coach. And I got the domain name Bartender Life Coach as a joke. And like everybody's like, oh man, that'd be a cool show. And I'm like, I know, I just don't have the money to make it a show or something like that. But anyway,
Right.
but I'm not giving up the domain name because someday I'm going to do something with it. Yeah.
That's so true.
But I mean, we learn along the ways. I mean, open roads, man. Yeah, it's if you had, let me ask you this: if you got the money, all right, the fact that you own the patent or own the trademark onto it now, and you got the $65,000, would you pay for it?
That's a really great question because Test Drive Freedom allows me to do a little bit more. And so, you know, everything that I was doing under Linda Kaye today is now under Test Drive Freedom, say for instance. And it allows me to do all of my training, to do my authoring, to do all the other things that I probably couldn't do if I were just, if I was trademarked or if I was bookmarked under Open Road. So Test Drive Freedom allows me to do a few more things because I can keep asking that question. If you could, you know, what would your life look like if you could test drive freedom? And that applies to so many things that I'm doing. So it makes me, I think, a little bit more versatile, and I hope a little bit more interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I always wonder because it's like, you know, for me, I've built my entire business around not having that domain name that is the name of my trademark, right? But everything else, I have everything else around it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, simple. I get Simple Easy Events, Simple Easy Branding, I mean, I bought all the domain names around the name Simple Easy you could imagine.
That was smart of you to do that. And how long ago did you do that? Because
this is just the past 2 years. But I mean,
really,
here's what my question to you on this one is: isn't it once you found that? Did not things open up to go, okay, so this is easy to work with now. Let me build this all around this. As you said, everything is now around Test Drive Freedom.
Right.
You know, I owned all kinds of stuff I was doing, you know, Rocker Life Coach, Rock Around Your Blog, you know, I had all that different stuff going on. And then all of a sudden, Simple Easy Marketing, and I was like, everything I do is now like, okay, it fits all around this wheel. And it became like a simplistic plan to go, here's my future. This is where I'm going. Did that happen for you?
And Tim, doesn't it seem like it just literally all folded together? And you're thinking, why was I wasting all this time? Why was I wasting my money? Why was I wasting all my energy? Because wouldn't you agree that if you are planting yourself here, yes, you could be seeding, but aren't you spreading yourself a little thinner where people are not able to find you?
Yeah. And you know what I mean? Once you get it going, it's like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of this earlier? You know what I mean? I'm in business 11 years, and I'm like, why didn't I go on this 11 years ago?
And all of a sudden, it's like, snap. Oh, okay. Now I know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Well, I mean, I don't feel bad. I mean, and I remember the day. I mean, my certificate's up here, but I remember the day my certificate came in from Andre. All right, and I was just talking to Andre like 3 or 4 days earlier before it came in, and you know, because I have a good conversation with him every now and then, and I remember Craig saying about when it came in, you're going to be all emotional and everything, and I got on the phone. I mean, I literally did a video call with Craig to show him, right?
Did it come in the big sparkly blue?
Blue, yeah. Actually, I kept it here for the longest time, the envelope, and eventually I just finally tossed the envelope. I needed space. Yeah.
Andre's got it going on. He knows how to reach us emotionally, doesn't he?
He does. He put together a system. So, but I mean, I didn't feel bad when I was talking between Andre and Craig, because Craig took years to come up with the idea of Rock Your Life, and I'm like, man, I wasted all these time. No, I didn't. And for me, it's like, you know what I mean? You know me. I mean, you know me back a couple years now. I thought I had to keep going with the long hair. All right. And Craig's like, Tim, I think you should try it and see. And it's like, how often do we have to go, well, you should try this. It's like almost like your Test Drive Your Freedom. You should try this just to see if you like it.
See if you like it. Listen, if it's good for Mikey, try it if you like it.
Yeah. And it's just, it's funny. It's like, you know, some of us don't ever think about that. And I mean, as I was thinking about your brand, I'm like, you know what I mean? Well, why didn't I try this earlier? And like, so often we're scared to try it when the truth is, then like your brand, let's test drive it. Let's just try this out for a moment. See if it works.
Yeah. Because you can always revert back, but you know, can you really revert back? Because even if you've stepped out and you've done something, you're changed. You're completely changed. You're never the same again. So even if you could start over, would you?
Well, no. I could start over. There could be, wait a minute, there could be a better brand coming. I'm not denying that, right?
Right?
But I have tried several of them along the way that went crash, crash, crash. All right. It wasn't until this one. Now, go out and try and it doesn't work. Yeah, you quick go, okay, let me take that down. I have a client who went out with this whole podcast idea last fall and planned to leave his company, leave and go all out on a job. And the new podcast idea he had bombed within 30 days. And
I
he
can
was like,
relate to
okay,
that.
I need to go back to the old method real quick.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. So,
I mean, just 2 years ago, Tim, I decided, okay, I'm going to try this, and I went out as Linda Kaye today,
yeah.
and it didn't exactly bomb, but I didn't exactly make a single penny either. So some people would say that that's a bomb too, but for me, I learned a lot in that process, and then kind of regrouping and taking some advice from another really well-known and trusted advisor, John Limbacher.
Yeah.
He said, why pay for these two things? Why not just combine it? Okay, the simplest ideas sometimes are the best ones.
Yeah. So, exactly, and it's true. I mean, I work with John as well. I mean, great guy. So, and it's just it's
phenomenal.
It's something, how we get plugged into the right people as we go. Okay, I need to test it. This is working. How do I get help to make it better?
So true.
So, well, this has been an interesting conversation, Linda. What is the best way that people can get a hold of you if they want to find out more about you?
Well, that little banner that's floating along, that's right after Tim Gillette. No, you put it up in bigger letters there, Tim. Thank you. TestDriveFreedom.com. Click here for more. It is right on the landing page. And if you cannot wait, call Tim and say, how do I get a hold of that woman? I got to talk to her. TestDriveFreedom.com. And click here for more information.
Cool. Well, it has been a fun interview. All right. It has been an interesting conversation talking about things today. As I said, they never know where the conversation is going to go. But we're nearing the end, Linda. And as we near the end, I play a game with all of my guests.
Beautiful. Let's go. 9
questions, all designed for Linda Kaye.
All 9?
All 9 of them designed just for you. All right. And it's 2 choices. You pick one. Maybe there's going to be a conversation about it. Maybe there isn't. We'll see as we go down the list.
All right.
Number 1, Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Star Wars, girl. I love it. Everybody has an opinion on those. I've had, I think, hundreds of guests over the years. I've only had 1 or 2 go, huh? Who? All right. Somebody knows one or the other. So, always. So let me stick with stuff we watch on TV, stuff we see in the movie theater.
Okay, let's go.
The movie Die Hard. Is it a Christmas movie? Yes or no?
It depends.
I love asking that question because some people are like, yes, it's a Christmas movie. But Bruce Willis, when he got roasted, actually stood up at his roast and said, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
Oh, no.
Well, then why did you do 2 episodes at Christmas
time?
2 movies that had Christmas in them? Yeah.
Because it's the biggest box office draw.
All right. My third question for you is, are you a dress-up girl or are you a yoga pants girl?
Oh, no yoga pants. I say get out of those yoga pants, girls, at least once a week and put on those jeans to see if they fit.
Oh. But like in today's world, all right, we're only dressed up from the hips up. So my first virtual speaking gig, I was in pajamas and a suit and tie.
Tim, you only get one chance to make a first impression. Make it right.
Yeah. So my next one here is we move on to food products. Taco or hamburger?
Tacos or hamburgers?
Taco or hamburger? Which one?
Hamburger.
Hamburger. I will gladly pay you on Tuesday for a hamburger today.
For a fat burger today.
Yeah. I was always a hamburger kid. And I remember as a kid, I was in the hospital for pneumonia. And every day we had to choose the menu for lunch and dinner. And I chose hamburger.
Hamburger.
Yep. The last day, my mom convinced me to try something else that they had on the menu, like, chicken or something. Okay, Mom, I'll try that.
In the hospital?
Yeah, huh?
Did you end up back in the hospital?
No. Like the last day I try that, all right, and I get the food there, I can't stand it. My mom went down to the cafeteria and bought me a hamburger.
Way to go, Mom.
I love hamburgers. Okay, wine or beer?
Wine.
Wine, red or white?
Red.
Red. All right. You have like this specialty winery you go to?
No, I'm an equal opportunist.
Oh, okay. You know what I mean? You live in California, all right? You can literally drive over the mountain and go visit wineries in Santa Barbara.
This is so true. I've got friends that own wineries, but and I love their wines.
Yeah.
But I do like offshore wines.
Oh,
Yes.
you got to come down here and taste. So we got some interesting ones down here in Texas now. We got a lot of
Really?
interesting ones. Yeah. All right, but the most interesting one I've had was New Mexico.
And because
New Mexico, one of the company that the one company we get it from, it used to be called St. Clair. It's called something else now. Southern New Mexico. They actually have a red and they have a white, and both of them have chili pepper in it.
I'm loving that because one of my favorite wines, Tim, is a Malbec, and it's got a nice spice and kick to it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I can't wait to try it.
Yeah. So that's one of mine. So let's go back to the you know what I mean, the dress up type thing. Are you a heels girl or a boots girl?
Heels.
Heels. Okay. You know, I'm down in Texas. You know what I mean? Got to ask.
I have a boots. Well, you know, it depends on where I go. I might have some heels on those boots if I'm down in Texas.
Yeah. You come to Texas, I could take you boot shopping. All
Beautiful.
right?
Let's go. I'm ready.
That's the first thing I told Tony Caruso. You know, when you come to Texas, I'm going to take you boot shopping.
Oh, and I'll bet you she'll end up with at least 15 pairs.
Why not? I have
Wow.
10. I'm a guy and I have 10.
Wow.
How about this one here? This is an interesting one I've started adding into the mix, and that is a snowball fight or a water balloon fight.
Water balloons. It's California. We don't have snow here.
It's interesting because some people are like, nah, snowball. You know what I mean? Because both of them are a fun fight.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like almost everybody's thinking about which one they want to get hit with.
I'm thinking water balloon. You know, if you're really having a direct fight. Now, a water balloon drop from a height could be really dangerous. Mm-hmm. But when I think water balloon, I think summer. I think fun. I think Beach Boys. I think I think of good times.
Yeah, true. So my last two questions are the controversial ones that I ask everyone. The next one being the toilet paper at your house. Does it go over on the roll or under?
Over.
Over.
And if it's under, you're out.
Cammie Baker has been my most interesting one on that. She's a single girl from New Hampshire. And when I asked her that question, Cammie said, Tim, I'm a single girl. If I date a guy and I go to his house and change that toilet paper from under to over 3 times, I break up. This relationship's going nowhere.
If I found it under and changed it over and it got changed back, it's over. I am a single girl, and I take great pride with making that comment. It's important. Know where you stand.
Yeah, I mean, what's important? Yeah.
Or
my last one here, all right, is an interesting one I like to ask, and that is boxers or briefs.
Commando, Tim.
All right, now there's a woman after my own heart.
There you go.
And with that, we are done with the quiz on that one there. Linda, this has been such fun talking with you today, having you on the show. Do me a favor one more time for both the audio and video people. Make sure they know that website so they can get a hold of you.
All right. Go on out to Test Drive Freedom. That's all one word, testdrivefreedom.com, and click for more information.
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Linda. It's been great having you as my guest. All right. And I'm so glad we get to know you. So
my pleasure. Thank you.
You bet. To you, the listener, I want to say thank you for tuning in today. All right. Be sure and go check out testdrivefreedom.com. Find out more about Linda yourself. All right. And maybe take that idea of freedom on a test drive. Why not? It's, one life. Might as well live it, right?
There you go.
Tim Gillette with the Tim Gillette Show, and we will be back real soon with another guest. In the meantime, make sure you subscribe to where you get your podcasts as well as to our YouTube channel. I'm Tim Gillette, and I'll see you real soon with another great guest. Bye now.
Bye.
Have a great day. I'm trying to get all my things to work, and they're not working today.